Hi guys, so it's something that's deeply frustrating is that many stories aren't catchy or sexy. They end up being forgotten about because we either find out about them long after the fact or because they weren't raised by a high-profile political figure. But kudos to Pat McFadden, the Shadow Chief Secretary of the Treasury, who explained in perfect detail the corruption that has taken place at the very highest levels during the pandemic. How billions of pounds were wasted and now need to be clawed back. Not from the profiteers, but from the public, the working class to be precise.
This is not just about COVID grants and loans. It has emerged on page 199, as my honourable friend, the member for Wansbeck, highlighted during the debate, of the Department of Health and Social Care annual report, that £8.7 billion of losses in PPE have had to be accounted for in that department's spending. Just pause and think about that. £8.7 billion of losses. What could that have done in the NHS? It is twice the government's entire hospital building programme. And it's dismissed on page 199 of the department's annual report. And if you add, for example, that's 8.7 billion to the 4.3 billion that we've been highlighting today, you get a whole year's worth of receipts from the national insurance rise that's going to be imposed on families in April. So the Chancellor says this is all about public services, but it is impossible to escape the conclusion that these taxes are at least in part to fill the hole caused by this colossal mismanagement of public money.
And I think it's not just mismanagement, there is corruption here. We've covered during the pandemic how many companies sprung up spontaneously during the pandemic and were providing PPE. Many of these companies are connected to members of the government, either directly or indirectly. Some of these companies are connected to members of the House of Lords. Some of these companies are operated by Tory party donors. We know what's happened here. There was a chance to make a lot of money. Some people connected to MPs realized they could make a huge amount of money out of this pandemic, and they were fast-tracked. They were given access to this VIP lane where they were given very lucrative contracts very, very quickly with no oversight. And we've seen how some companies were providing PPE, and these companies had never been in the business of providing PPE. They were bringing stuff in from abroad that was completely unusable for the NHS. And the response from Boris Johnson and the government and Matt Hancock before he resigned was that we were doing our best, we were under a lot of pressure. So corruption was perfectly fine because we were under pressure. But we know, the dogs in the street know, that it was about making money out of a crisis. And the Tories are very good at that. He said here £8.7 billion. How many wages could that fill? How many bonuses to NHS frontline staff could that pay? How many hospitals could be built with £8.7 billion? And then coupled with the loss of 4.3 written off by Rishi Sunak, it's going to be equal to the rise in national insurance contributions. So once again, you have Tory donors profiting, providing useless PPE, it being written off by the government, and, well, we have to recoup this cost in some way, so we're going to, instead of trying to claw it back from these corrupt individuals, we're going to burden the working class once again. The people who actually voted for us, put us in power, we're going to throw them under a bus. It's disgusting, and what's frustrating is that you can see here in the House of Commons there was almost nobody there. Nobody's really interested in this story. As I said, because it's happened in the past, we've moved on. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.